Greetings, fellow seekers of the supernatural. I'll be your guide through the mysterious realm. In each episode, we'll unravel spine-tingling tales, explore haunted locations, and delve into the inexplicable. Brace yourselves for encounters with restless spirits, cryptids, and things that defy logic. So dim the lights, grab your sage, and join us as we peer into the darkness. Because the truth is stranger than fiction. Subscribe now and remember, the paranormal is among us. Hey everybody, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
And happy May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. I promise, Al, that's the only Star Wars pun I will do. How you doing today, Krista?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Had a long day grilling and everything and got poured on, and it was just a mess out here.
Yeah.
So,
gotcha.
Yeah. So, hey guys, we have a very good show tonight. Al Santariga is here with us, going to talk some Dogman, some Bigfoot, some ghosts. He sent some pictures along that I think are pretty cool. They're pretty cool. But before we bring Al up, let's talk about Ashmore. So May 18th and 19th, from 11:30 to 2, we will be we'll have guest speakers, pizza dinner, overnight ghost hunt. It'll be a great time. Rob and Terry, I don't have the new banner on here. Rob and Terry will be there. I hope he doesn't come here. Letitia and Barton Nunley will be here.
I will be there.
Be there. Krista, why don't you finish it? I can't talk.
Yeah. So it's Bart, Letitia, Josh Hurd, Mermaid Medium, Jessica Potter, Rachel Marie, and Robin Terry, and it's being co-hosted with After Dark Paranormal. And tickets are on sale now. And look up Blondes and Booze on Eventbrite, or I can even share it in the chat, and I can do that. So
okay, awesome. And then tickets are going pretty quick. There's what?
Not a whole lot left.
5 or 6 or 7, something like that left.
Very many.
So it's going to be a fun time. Come on out. It'll be a great time.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
So I see P. Jean. Thanks for reminding me. Awesome. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and bring Al out. Hey, Al, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Well, thanks for having me. Hey, Krista, how are you?
Hey, it's good to see you. Always, Al.
I have heard so much about you, so many good things about you. I'm so glad I finally get to meet you. And no matter what Brian says, I think you're a good guy.
Well, they're all lies, so don't believe anything you
heard. He's not here. I was hoping that he would be here, that I would say that.
No, he just got home from doing an overnight in Mayaca State Park with Stevie Strings, and he's pretty exhausted.
Yeah.
Last I heard, he was like, he was driving like a 3-hour drive home from North Florida down to Palm Beach, and he had only gotten like 2 hours sleep last night, and he was shot.
Wow. He's a good guy too.
Yeah, I won't go that far.
Yeah, he's a fun guy too. So Al, the Squash Father.
Yes.
Again. You had sent, and I do have some other questions. You know what? Let's get to the pictures here in just a few minutes.
Whatever.
But I have a couple questions for you before we start. And I saw you on some other interviews before, and that kind of got me going here. What are some of the earliest memories that you have of the paranormal?
Okay. Well, the earliest memory I have would be when I was 5 years old, and my grandmother had passed away, and I got her room and her bed, and funeral parlor was right across the street, and back then they would show the body for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And she came to me every night for like a week straight to tuck me in, you know, and I knew she was dead. I knew we just coming back from across the street from the funeral parlor, and I couldn't tell my father any of this stuff because he didn't believe in anything, even though he's seen a ghost with his own 2 eyes.
Yeah.
But I would talk to my mother, who was a psychic, and she would just say, "Oh, don't worry, you know, it's just your grandmother tucking you in." That was at 5. And then at 10, I had my first UFO experience. And at 12, I had my first Bigfoot experience. And then it's just, you know, a paranormal life after that. You know what I mean?
Before 5 years old, did you believe in any of this stuff, or?
My brother was a parapsychologist, and he is a parapsychologist, and he always had books in the house. Okay, not at 5 years old, of course, but you know, once we got older, like, you know, 10 years old and stuff like that, 8, 10 years old, he always had books in the house about everything under the sun. And whenever he finished reading one and put it on a shelf, I grabbed it next. You know what I mean? So, and he was into everything. He always believed that everything was connected, and he wanted to prove how it was connected. And, you know, and he's a very, very smart guy. My brother's a very intelligent guy. And so it was just, you know, everything he read, I believed in everything as well as he did, you know. And as time went on, you know, we just, you know, it's just the family itself, the whole family. I mean, I had an aunt who was a white witch. Actually 2 of them, and a cousin who was a black witch, and you know, sleeping over my cousin's house at a young age, 8, 9, 10 years old. My aunts and uncles would sit around the table. I had one uncle who had a house that was like really gothic, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And they would sit around this huge dining room table, and they would light candelabras and stuff like that, and use tarot cards and you know, do seances and stuff. And me and my cousins would, you know, belly crawl down the hallway to see what was going on, you know, because if they would have seen us, they would have kicked our asses. And there were nights when I see that candelabra just dancing. I mean, the flames would go up, they would go down. It would go. It was just mind-boggling, the stuff that we would see, you know. And my family was very family-oriented. They were always seemed to trying to contact a family member on the other side. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they were just practicing black magic. They were always trying to get in touch with somebody who had just passed, you know, tragically. You know, whether it was in a car accident or an overdose, or, you know, someone in Italy who had passed, something, you know. They were always trying to reach out to the great beyond, you know.
Wow. Now, you mentioned white and black magic. What is white and black magic? What is white magic?
Well, my aunt, who was a white witch,
White witch.
Yeah, she used her magic, or whatever you want to call it, only for good, you know. Like, there were times where me and my cousins would have like the evil eye put on us, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And from ex-girlfriends, you know what I mean? And we would have to go to her, and she would take them off, you know. Or sometimes I would go over there, and I would see, and I would say, "Oh, you know, I have nothing but bad luck," and she would say, "Sit down, let me see what's going on." And then I had a cousin who was into the dark stuff, you know, and that led to drug addiction and eventually, you know, overdosing and dying, you know. But she used to love playing with the dark stuff, you know. I mean, we'd go to her house, and man, that apartment would feel funky, you know. It was always heavy and eerie in her apartment. My mother did not like going there, but, you know, she was family, so we would go for coffee and cake sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
When you said she messed with the dark stuff, what kind of stuff did she do?
she was conjuring. She was playing with, you know, black magic, you know, the devil worshiping and crap like that, you know. And I think by playing with that, she ended up becoming addicted to drugs, and that ended up taking, you know, drugs ended up taking her life. I mean, if she would have done what her sister did and her mother with the white stuff, she would have been fine.
Sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's sad.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to go blank here. Everybody, we keep Brandy and her family in your prayers. It was
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I apologize, but I'm back now.
No, okay.
Back. Do you have? Trying to figure out how the best way to ask this. You've had many encounters throughout your life, obviously. Have you ever had that? You remember that one encounter that you had with, you know, Bigfoot, Dogman, or whatever, that was just your aha moment where you're like, okay, this is 100% real. I know exactly what this is. It explains everything. Have you ever had that moment that something just hit you and stuck with you?
I've had a lot of aha moments over the years. You know what I mean? Researching, you know, you research, and sometimes you overthink stuff, and the simplest stuff you never pops into your head, and then you try something, or a light bulb goes on and you say aha. But as far as believing anything, you know, I always believed. I always had this unwavering belief in all of it. I didn't really need to see my first Bigfoot at the age of 12 to believe it. When I was, my cousins and I, we all lived like in our building. We lived in a tenement building, and we all lived in the same building. And every Saturday we would go to the movies together, like, you know, 6 or 7 cousins. And I remember one time we were watching, like, you know, James Bond or something, and after the show they had the Patterson video, you know, and we watched the video, and I got up and I was like, that's real. There's no doubt in my mind. The vibe I got then and there, and I don't claim to be psychic by any stretch of the imagination, but I get gut feelings. I said, that's real. And I took a beating from my cousins. They ridiculed me to death, but I knew the moment I seen that footage that was real footage.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's legit myself.
I never wavered. I never wavered from that day. I always, you know, I always defended it. I always believed it was real. Like I said, I get gut feelings on stuff, and the bullshit vibe never hit me with that. Not even today when I watch it, it doesn't hit me with it, you know?
Me either. You know, my thinking is too, like, you know, and somebody else had said this, so I'm just going to repeat it. But, you know, if somebody's going to build a gorilla suit, you know, back in the day when that took place, what, 1967, something like that?
Yep, 67,
you know, are they going to really, like, think about, like, women body parts, because it's
absolutely not,
and things like that, you know? So yeah, I definitely believe it's legit.
Especially 99% of anybody who's hoaxing anything are men.
Yes.
Right. So a man wouldn't think about putting breast on a big monkey. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, no, there's no doubt in my mind about that. But I, you know, like I said, a lot of aha moments over the years. Too many to recall, but every now and then you'll come across something like, you think, not that you think you know it all, but you think you've experienced it all, and then something happens and you're like, wow, you know, like not in a million years that I ever expect that, you know, and even to this day, after all these years, I still get them. I still get aha moments all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're so simple, and sometimes, so, you know, sometimes you get a preconceived notion in your head, and you don't think differently. You always say, no, it's got to be this way. It's got to be this way. And then one day you say, why does it have to be this way? Why can't it be this way too? You know, and then you're like, there's an aha moment, because now, you know, like, oh, wow, all those things that I was throwing out thinking that it was garbage were probably, you know, legit.
Yeah, no, it's true. Very, very true.
Okay, so You had sent me a bunch of pictures, and let's.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure where we were going tonight, so I sent you a little bit of everything, like a collage of stuff, you know.
It's pretty interesting. I want to. Anyone that you want to start with?
Anyone you want, I don't care.
All right.
No, I don't care.
I like these kind of shows where we go all over. So
Yeah, that's kind of my mentality. I'm all over the place. You know?
Right.
So let's do the clock one first.
Okay.
Kind of set this up a little bit. Where was this taken at? Do you remember?
This was taken at a relative's home.
Relative's home.
Oh wow.
And look at that little guy underneath the clock there.
Yeah, that's actually a glass window where you could see the thing go back and forth, the hammer or whatever you want to call the pendulum. Yeah, the pendulum go back and forth, and that came off of a security camera in his house. That clock was in the living room. Yeah, and he heard something go off, and he looked at the security camera and he seen that in the photo, and he sent it to me, and I was like, well, do you have a photograph of somebody on the wall across the way? Maybe that's reflecting in but he's like, no, not with that expression on their face. No, you know. We don't know who it is. Some people claim it's his brother who passed.
Wow.
Showing up. But he claims he doesn't have any photos of his brother directly across from that clock. But I don't see my cousin's face in that photo, but other family members do. So it's just like a crazy photo that just, showed up. Yeah.
Wow.
And for something to reflect that big, the picture I would think would have to be right by that clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't have anything by that clock,
Yeah.
So no photographs like directly in front of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was blown. He was like freaked out. He's like, what do I do? And I was like, cleanse. I said, just cleanse. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I said, call me. I've taken this cousin out with me on other investigations, and we've had experiences. He experienced stuff with me. And I said, call me if things start moving, people start getting scratched or anything like that. If you get any poltergeist experience, call me, and then I'll come down and, I'll do a once over. But for now, I would just open some windows and do some smudging and see what happens.
Absolutely.
Anything
else happened at his house, or
no, not since he sent me this photograph. I know for a fact that he has smudged, so I guess it's been quiet because I haven't got any phone calls from him. Well,
that's good.
Yeah.
This one here.
Okay. That's a dog man peeking over a wall at us. And if you look closely, you can see two pointed ears, the eyes shine, and a black nose sniffing. That's us. That's like a 3-foot stone wall that its head is on the other side of.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Did you take that?
I took that with a little tiny Sony camera that was hanging around my neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard something come charging up the ridge towards us, and it was coming on all fours. And just before we got the charge, we had a Sasquatch whoop at us and throw a stone at us the size of a bowling ball. And of course, I just felt like there was more to come, so I wouldn't leave. Everybody wanted to leave, but I said, no, I don't want to leave yet. I feel like there's more to come. And my cameraman was sitting with his back against that wall. I was in between him, and Brian was in front of me. And then we heard something charging up the ridge on all fours, a quadruped coming. And I wasn't sure if it was a black bear or a mountain lion coming over. And the cameraman, once it started to get close to him, he got up and he started to run by me. And I never took my eyes off of where the sound was coming from. And when he ran by me, I just reached out with my left hand and I stopped him and I spun him around. I said, stand your ground. And I don't know to this day how I got him because I never took my eyes off of where the sound was coming. Because in my head, I'm thinking a mountain lion is going to hit that wall, come over the wall. I'm going to have to sacrifice my left arm and kill it with my survival knife, because Brian and Bill, who were behind me, were able to pull out their machetes because they were more in a wide open location. But I was in between trees. I couldn't use a long blade. So I pulled out my survival knife and just figured, okay, I'm going to have to sacrifice this left arm. And it ran. And when I tell you it was coming. And it was Halloween, and there was a lot of leaf litter, and you could hear it charging up the ridge. And when it got to this wall, nothing ever came over the wall.
My God.
Wow.
And I got this little Sony camera hanging around my neck. I took one photograph with a flash, boom.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I couldn't see anything on the back of the camera because it was pitch black, and it was only like an inch by inch camera, like the back of the camera. And after a few minutes, we never heard it leave. We never heard it go back down the ridge. We never heard it jump off the ridge.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, grab the cameras and let's jump over the wall and see what's over there. We had a full spectrum, a thermal imager, and an infrared camera. And we had them pointed in every direction. And we couldn't see anything on any of the cameras. And the cameraman, Bill, he actually had a 1500 luma flashlight, and we lit up the swamp. We were above a swamp. We lit up the swamp like it was daytime, and we didn't see anything. No eye shine, no cattails moving in the swamp. Nothing. We don't know where it went to. We didn't know that we were next to a dog man's den. It turned out there was a dog man's den in the swamp, but we didn't know it at the time because we were at a location of high strangeness. And, I had reports of UFOs and Bigfoot experiences at this location, but we never heard any dogman sightings there. And we had found, I had scattered the location out beforehand, and I found 3 locations that I wanted to work all 3. And that was the furthest location away. And then we were working our way back towards our vehicles. But yeah, that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. And when we did our evidence review, we got 6 guys in the room. We got a 60-inch TV on the wall. We're doing the evidence review, and nobody's seen it. Nobody's seen it. Some dude from California calls me up and says, you got a dog man in that photograph behind that wall. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I go, send it to me. So he sends it to me, and I see it. And of course, I think it's photoshopped. So I go to the camera, take the SD card out, put it in the computer, and sure as shit, there it is. And I was like, wow, how did 7 guys in the room with fresh eyes miss it, but we did. We missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And PG just said, sometimes you just need fresh eyes to see it. Second pair of eyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, to me, that's kind of like your encounter there with the dog man, almost on a supernatural level, where it goes. I did a members only show today, Tex and I did, about the dog man was close here by my house, and somebody actually shot at it and it bled. So which leads me to ask different types, because I feel like what you encountered there was something again on the supernatural side, but yet this one here by me, had blood. What are your feelings on that? I think that they can be both myself, but
I think that there are 2 different kinds. I go back and forth between 2 and 3. Okay. But for the sake of argument, I think there are mainly 2 kinds people are seeing. They come from different dimensions, so they are supernatural in a way because they do go through portals. When they're here, they're flesh and blood, and they can be killed. I've taken enough reports over the years where people have killed them. Not only, hunters, but Native Americans as well have, hunted them down and killed them. But I also think the ones that people see in their houses, or they're sleeping and the thing is standing in front of them in their bedroom. I believe that's more a demonic kind of thing, where this demon is showing itself to you, but something that they know you have subconscious fear of. So if it's popping in and out of your house, in your bedroom, in your hallway, it may not be a dog man. It may be something darker. If there's anything darker than a dog man, but it's something darker. But if you see something in the woods that's either on all fours or bipedal, it could be, like I said, it could be here hunting for food, and then it could go into a different dimension in the blink of an eye. I think there are a lot of locations on the planet that held these energy lines, like ley lines and stuff like that, that hold energy. And I think these creatures can manipulate that energy to pop in and out of. I've been to enough symposiums. I've been lucky enough to be invited to a lot of symposiums over the years and get to sit down with world-renowned psychics. I mean, I'm not going to name names, but world-renowned.
Yeah.
And I always pick everybody's brain. My favorite thing is, can I ask you a question, And my first question to all of them is, what is this thing? And every single one of them to a person says it's interdimensional. Every single one. I've never got any of them over the years say it's anything else but interdimensional.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned something in the beginning of the story on that picture that you had the Bigfoot howl and a boulder the size of a bowling ball thrown at you. Do you think that the Bigfoot was possibly warning you?
Yes.
I mean,
we didn't know it at the time that we were in harm's way. But I believe that Bigfoot was trying to get us out of that location because it knew there was a den in the swamp. But me being stubborn and just having the feeling like there was so much more to come that night, I didn't want to leave. And my cameraman wanted to leave, and Brian wanted to leave. And every time something crazy happened, somebody wanted to leave but me, And I didn't get up and leave. We didn't get up and leave until maybe an hour or so after we were bluff charged. Once that happened, everything went dead, and it was time to move on to our second location. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Interesting. You mentioned bluff charging.
Yeah.
So it's been years ago. I was doing a paranormal investigation, and it was out in it's a resort. And it's in the middle, it's the woods, but there's a lot of amenities, I guess. And it was a very haunted location. And at this particular location, we were at the lake, and, we were getting some EVPs and things, on the paranormal side. However, we did get bluff charged. And I have no idea if it was a ghost that actually bluff charged us, or now, this has been 12 years ago, but now I think back, like, what if that was a Bigfoot or, something like that? It could very well have been,
Yeah, I mean, like, what were you hearing when you heard the bluff charge?
Literally, like something just charged us, and then it just stopped.
Did it sound like a quadruped?
Honestly, it was just fast and loud. It was downhill, and right before you could see it, because it was dark out, nothing. It just stopped.
Just stopped dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't think it was a ghost. I would say it was probably a cryptid, because the only time I've ever heard a ghost coming at us, like over the years, and it wasn't even my experience. It was my brother and one of my cousins were at Gettysburg, and they were on the battlefield, and they heard the cavalry charge coming towards them, and they were standing in the middle of the field, and they could hear the cannons going off, and they never seen anything, but they felt the ground shaking, like the horses running, and they felt the wind going by, like the horses were running past them. My brother said it was the craziest experience ever. Yeah,
that's how this was, and
that was a ghost of a cavalry charge. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. And this, I've always wondered, not always because I always thought it was a ghost, but here, since I've gotten into, these creatures, part of me is like, maybe that was, a Bigfoot and we just got a little too close to something or whatever, didn't want us there.
Yeah, it probably was a Bigfoot. I mean, if I had to pick one, I would probably say a Bigfoot. Yeah. And at the time when we were bluff charged, everybody that was Brian and Bill, the cameraman, and Brian, both thought it was the Bigfoot bluff charging is coming because he was the one that was there making all the noise. But at that point, I had never heard of a Bigfoot doing a bluff charge. To me, I kind of went to something more common, like a black bear or a mountain lion, because we have them here. So that to me, that's what I thought was coming up.
Right.
I never thought it was the Bigfoot until later, and then I started doing more research and found out, what, the Bigfoots do bluff charge you like black bears and stuff, but
Yeah.
I think if it was a mountain lion, it wouldn't have been a bluff charge. It would have came,
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And you probably would have lost that left arm.
Probably, yeah.
Probably so. You said Gettysburg. You mentioned Gettysburg. That's on my bucket list. You've been there quite a bit, or what all have you?
Yeah, well, Gettysburg is amazing. Yeah, I went there. I didn't send you any photos of Gettysburg, but I had set up a bunch of cameras on the battlefield, and I just started taking pictures, running from one camera to the other, and I got soldiers running across the field. I got sentries standing right on the wood line, like looking out, like waiting for someone to come across. Yeah, I got them in a bunch of different spectrums too. I think full spectrum and infrared. I got them, not at infrared, thermal and full spectrum. I don't think I got them on the infrared, but it was crazy. Like I went out after I looked at the photos the next day, I went back out there and I kind of measured, and I knew where I had the cameras and I knew where I was taking photos, and I would go to the location to see if there were statues, because Gettysburg has 1 million statues all over the battlefield, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't claiming that this was a soldier or a ghost soldier if it was a statue, and now there weren't any statues. I didn't remember any statues where I set up because of that. I didn't want to get any fake positives or whatever, false positives. But I did go back and double check, and there wasn't anything there. There was nothing in the field that I was shooting that night. I tried to find a field that didn't have any statues or monuments or anything, because I wanted to get ghosts, and I was lucky enough to, I was lucky enough to get them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list. I haven't been there, but I'm going.
Yeah,
I agree with
is
you.
amazing.
Yeah, I've been there during the day for a drive-through tour and stuff. But yeah, going at night and investigating that, I'm sure that would be just rich with activity.
When you were in Gettysburg,
and it doesn't matter what part of the battlefield you go to. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Did you happen to hit any of the buildings? Like, I know there was like the orphanage there. They say it's really.
Oh, I hit all the buildings. Are you kidding me? I was like a maniac. I was in the one building, the orphanage building. Oh, the orphanage.
Yeah.
I walk down. We go down into the basement. I got photos of the orphanage too. I got images. I caught stuff in the orphanage too. But when we went down into the basement, I walked right over to the stone wall. It was the furthest part away.
Yeah.
And I put my hand on the wall. I don't know why I did this. I just was being drawn there. And then I turned to the woman who was giving the tour, and there was nothing there but a plain stone. And I was like, what happened here? And she's like, what made you go over there? And I was like, I'm being pulled here. She goes, that's where they used to have the shackles to chain the kids up to the wall.
That lady was an evil woman.
Yeah, evil woman. Yes. And I got photographs of, I was taking a photograph of a hallway down in the basement. They have a little room off to the left where there was like a little dungeon room. And I was taking a photograph past the dungeon room, and I got a shadow figure in that hallway too. Yeah, and when I went to what was her name's house? The Jenny Wade house. I was standing in the corner where in the main kitchen, and I was standing there, and I felt someone tug my shirt. And I turned around and there was nobody there, but I was in the corner. And I was like, I went to the woman who was doing the tour. I says, what happened here in this corner? And she's like, why? I said, I just had my shirt tugged. And she said, this is where Jenny Wade was killed. She was on the floor making bread when the bullet came through the door and hit her right there. And that's where I happened to be standing. I didn't know she died in that location. And I felt someone tug my shirt, like someone trying to either pull themselves up or get my attention.
Yeah, like she was trying to maybe save you.
Yeah, or no, maybe she was trying to get me to save her, asking for help or whatever. Yeah, I mean, but it was like weird because the way that bullet came through that door, there was actually another bedroom door that was open too. And these doors are like 2 inches thick. And the bullet went through the first door. Then it went through the second door and it ricocheted down and got her. She was on the floor. What are the odds of getting hit on the floor? And what are the odds? I'm standing in that corner and my shirt is being tugged, Yeah, that was great. Like I said, I hit every place I could possibly hit in Gettysburg. Yeah, Gettysburg was amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I wonder what I know. Shiloh, Tennessee, the Battle of Shiloh is closer to St. Louis here. I wonder if that's really haunted.
I would say so. Yeah.
Most battlefields are.
Any battlefield are. Yeah. Just make sure you protect yourself when you go out on the battlefield. Whenever you go to any places like that, always protect yourself because death attracts dark things. So when you go on a battlefield or you go in the cemetery, you got to make sure you're very well protected because I know I get so many interviews with people who went on a ghost tour during Halloween in a haunted house or a cemetery and brought something dark home with them, And once you take something dark home with you, it's not very easy to get rid of them. Yeah. It's not as easy as a smudging to get rid of them because those things dig in like an Alabama tick, you can't get them out.
Yeah. Yep.
Alabama tick. I like that. All right. Here is another one.
Okay. I was walking. I had just had surgery on my ankle and I was doing this loop around a field. Actually, when I pulled into the park, this Sasquatch was going off up on top of a mountain, screaming to high heaven. And all the young mothers that were in the park with their babies, and there was a lot of them that morning, were just grabbing their kids, picking them up and leaving their carriages, leaving their strollers, everything behind, getting the kids, throwing them in the car and driving out. And as everybody was leaving, a county cop came in and he goes, what the hell is going on up there? What's going on? And he goes, I think you should leave. And I was like, no, I'm not leaving. I'm going to do my walk. I got it's like the track is like a 3-mile track or something. I said, I have to rehab my ankle. I just had surgery on it. I'm going to walk. And the sheriff was like, dude, I don't want you walking along that wood line. And I was like, nah, I'll be all right. Because I knew what it was. You know what I mean? And so when I got to that wood line, I just took a bunch of photos up into the woods, not knowing where the sound was coming from. I was shooting to where the sound was coming from, not actually seeing anything, And then when I went back and I looked at the photos when I got home, I have to me, it looks like an image of a Sasquatch, with the conical head and just the back, the way, you know what I mean? It just looks like a Sasquatch to me. And I can't emphasize how far this photograph was from where I was standing. It was way up there.
Yeah, it looks like he looks pretty small. So
it's far away.
Yeah,
that's
far
why.
away.
Yeah. I mean, it's very far away. I mean, I would say the top of that mountain was probably like 3 miles straight up, And I was just I must have took like 100 photographs in that location. That one gives you a little bit better how far away or the distance, you know.
Yeah.
You can see how small it is in that photograph. He was
Yeah.
up there. He was. I should have put the picture of the mountain in there so you could see how big, how far the mountain was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, not that I seen it up there. I was just taking photographs of the whole mountaintop, but I was focusing in on where the screams were coming from. Yeah.
And you never know when you hear stuff like that, you know, just start taking pictures. You never know what you're going to get.
Right?
Yeah, you know, dumb me. I was so locked in on taking the photographs. What I should have done was put the recorder on and record the screams.
Yeah.
Because when I pulled into the parking lot, the screams were so loud that they were vibrating right through your chest. Okay. That's what scared all the young mothers out of the park. And when I tell you they were leaving carriages, strollers, I mean, they couldn't get out. I don't even think they were strapping their kids into the car seats. They couldn't get out of there fast enough. And I should have took it when I was far away, and I should have recorded it up close, because up close, even though I was still 3 miles away from the bottom of the mountain, it was going over my head. It was just so loud. And when I tell people this, I can't emphasize it enough. Unless you're recording with professional recording equipment, when you record this stuff and then you play it back, it does not give you any an inkling of what you're actually hearing when you're there live. When you're there live and it's happening in front of you, it is so loud and so powerful. And when you play it back on your digital voice recorder, you could have the best digital voice recorder in the world. Unless you're pumping it through a PA system, you're not going to get that feel. You know, you're not just you just lose so much.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Here is.
Okay. Now, again, this was the same night we got bluff charged by the dog man. This was at our second location, the Meadow. Okay.
Right.
Now, if I were to give you this original photo, in this original photo, there are about 100 different orbs, and each orb is a different color, and each orb has faces in them. Okay. So when we put this on the 60-inch screen TV, and we were doing the evidence review, everybody was freaking out about the orbs. You know, look at this color, look at that color. It looks like there's a face there. Because I was taking pictures all night long, and there was nothing coming up in any of the photos. We did a Native American ceremony, and then we were surrounded by orbs. This little red maple tree is like 100 yards away from us. Okay. And I believe that was the Sasquatch that threw the rock at us. And I believe that was the Sasquatch who was watching over us in case that dog man followed us to the second location. Because the thought of zooming in on that little tiny, I mean, this tree was only 3 feet off the ground. You know what I mean? Little red maple. It was the only thing left in the woods that had leaves on it. And this thing must have belly crawled up to us to watch us. Nobody on the team even thought to zoom in because this is actually in the back of the photo. It's so dark that you wouldn't even think about looking at it. But again, this guy from California calls me up and he says, dude, you got a Bigfoot watching you underneath the red maple. And I said, send me the photo. Again, I thought it was Photoshop. I go back to my camera. I take out the digital card. I put it in the computer, and sure as shit, there it is. And I'm like, how did we miss this?
Wow.
But if I showed you the whole photograph and you seen all the orbs, you would see how easy it would be to miss.
Yeah. And, you know, when I was looking to it, when you sent it to me, I was just on my phone and I'm just looking at it on a bigger screen now. And I honestly had no idea what we were looking at. But, you know, the more I look at it, I can see the eyes, the nose, the mouth.
It's got a conical head. It's got a very big ridge of original line across the top of its head. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's just, to me, there's nothing else it can be. You know what I mean? And like I said, it must have belly crawled up to us because that second location we had so much crap going on anyway. But I mean, I never knew it was. We never knew it was there. And I guess, like I said, I think it was just looking out for us in case that dog man or its mate, the big male that was there as well. That the other one is the smaller of the two. It's the hyena shaped one with the square snout. But there was a big male there as well, and he was humongous. That was the one who came to the house, but that's another story. And I think he was there just to make sure that big male didn't come, track us down,
Wow.
Do you think like some humans are good and bad people? Do you think there is good and bad Bigfoot out there?
Absolutely. I think there's Bigfoots out there that, especially the teenagers that are feeling their oats, coming into their own, wanting to be an alpha, wanting to have its own family, its own location. I think they could be more aggressive than the older ones. I think the same thing with the dog man. I think, it's those ones that are not quite juveniles, but not quite adults. They're in that stage, that teenage stage, I think are the ones you got to worry about the most. I think they're the most aggressive, just like us when we're teenagers. When I was a kid, I would fight at the drop of a hat. You know what I mean? It didn't take much to get me to get into a fight. All you got to do was look at me cockeyed and we were going at it, So, I mean, and it's the same for them, I believe. Yeah. I don't believe all dogmen are evil or monsters or killers, because I just don't believe that. Because if that was the truth, there would be so many more people missing in these national parks and even the local state parks. You know what I mean? So I think they like to scare the living crap out of us, but I don't think that they kill every single person that walks through the woods.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because there's so many, encounters that I've heard of people, having dogman encounters that like they're alive to talk about it. And if it really wanted them, it could have gotten them.
Absolutely. If these creatures, whether it's a dogman, a Bigfoot, a rake, what do you call goat man, if these things want you and you're in their territory, they could have you at any given moment.
Yeah.
And just like that first picture that we showed, that dog man behind the wall, he could have easily jumped over that wall and gotten you. And that was just really weird. We're talking about this, and all of a sudden I feel something furry on my leg. My dog just came in to say hi. Freaked me out.
I got a cat sitting over here on the table watching me.
we had storms here, and both of our dogs are kind of sissies and scared of storms. So that freaked me out a little bit. Kind of lost my train of thought there too. This one I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that one, we were at a cemetery, and we were doing a cemetery investigation, and we were getting all kinds of stuff. We were getting names of tombstones, people's name on a tombstone that was like directly in front of us. And of course, you can't see it until you turn your lights and you start looking, and you would see the name and this, that, and the other thing. And I was just taking photographs in a 360. And I got two images. I got this one, and then I got another one that looked like something like pointing up to the heavens. And I wasn't sure what either one of them were. So I went back to the cemetery the next day because I worked right across the street. So I went back at lunchtime and I looked. And where this image came from, there was nothing there but bushes. But where the other image came from, there was a statue, like an angel pointing up to the sky. So I debunked that one. I threw it out. I said, okay. But this one, to me, looks like an old-fashioned gravedigger,
Wow.
That's what it looks like to me. It looks like an old-fashioned gravedigger. And like I said, there were no statues. You could see nothing but bushes in that area right there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, I just kind of relax my eyes a little bit. It looks kind of like Frankenstein with the big broad shoulders, the kind of square head.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks like Frankenstein.
Looks like he's holding his arms out straight.
Yeah.
Well, but I think the arm closest to us, to me, it kind of looks like it may be a shovel. It looks like he's got boots on with his pants cuffed, and that's that's where I'm getting Gravedigger from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do I know exactly what it is? Absolutely not. But it's definitely not a statue, because I definitely went back to debunk it. You know, and there was nothing there.
War Criminal just asked you what kind of camera did you use for that?
Which camera was I using for this one? Oh man, I don't remember which camera I had with me that night. I think I was using. Honestly, I don't remember. I mean, I know I had this little Sony that I always take with me, but I also had a thermal imager, and I also had an infrared. I didn't have the full spectrum with me then, but I don't think it may be it's a thermal imager if it's not if it's anything, because how white he is, you know what I mean?
Right.
It may be the thermal imager. But I honestly, off the top of my head, I honestly don't remember.
Wow.
Wow, that's a good capture there. Hang on a second. Okay, so you sent this one of the kid. Kind of set this one up a little bit before I show the pictures.
Okay, we were,
and I hope I have them in the right order.
We were at a haunted hotel up in the Catskill Mountains. Okay. Me and my cousin, and the place is incredibly haunted, and there was all kinds of stuff happening that night. But they have a scribing room. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not one that likes to take photographs into mirrors and stuff like that. And scribing was never on my bucket list. And I do force myself to take photographs into mirrors, because I do know mirrors are portals. I've never caught anything in any mirrors. I've never had anything attached to me in any mirrors or any. But my cousin who was with me was insistent that we do the scribing room. I said, okay, let's do the scribing room. So we went in there, and as we were in there, and it was dark, we just had like this electric candle for ambient light, and we're sitting in there, and hand to God, I felt like a hand came out of this mirror. Not that I seen a hand, and grabbed my heart and was squeezing my heart.
Wow.
And I turned to my cousin and I said, Sean, something is squeezing my heart. And Sean said, Al, look in the mirror at me. Now, Sean is 6'5". I'm sitting down in a chair. So I look up in the mirror, and where his eyes were 2 green marbles. And I said, I see the green marbles. He goes, look at my pupils. I couldn't see his pupils.
Wow.
But he didn't take a photograph of himself. But he said his pupils changed to like reptilian pupils. Now, I didn't see that, but I did see the green marbles. So when we were coming out, this young girl was there. She was next going in. And she said, what happened? And we told her what happened. And she says, I hope something happens with me too. And she goes in there and she takes the electric candle. She's holding it up to her face for ambient light. And she's taking photos with her phone, I think, or whatever she had. Yeah, I think it was her phone. And she was in there a long time. And when she came out, everybody was like having coffee and cake around the table, just taking a break. And she said, look at these photos. And she showed everybody the first one. And she looked normal in the first one, you know, creepy little kid. That's all, you know. And then she showed us the second one. And her eyes were glazed over like eggs. And it was creepy. Wow. I mean, everybody in the house, and even the woman who owns the hotel and the workers who work there every single day, never seen a photograph come out of that scriber room that looked like that.
Wow.
Yeah, freaked everybody out. Yeah.
So here, go ahead, Krista. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, did the pain go away?
Yeah, you know what I did when I felt the pain, like someone grabbed my heart. In my mind, I did like I know it's going to sound stupid, but I did like a mental karate move on that hand to get it off me. Mm-hmm. it released
It released.
in my mental, because I was using mental karate, and I was able to get that hand off of me. Yeah, no, I was fine after that, but it was weird because it felt like something came out of the mirror and grabbed my heart and just went like that.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, so here is the first picture. I believe that's the
you
first picture, right?
Yeah, you can see her eyes are pretty normal there. There's nothing really freaky about her in that photograph, you know. And then
that's
you
the
show
candle
the
that
next
she's
one.
holding, right?
Yeah,
That's the candle
the electric candle. Yeah, she has battery operated candle, and that's the second one. And if you look at her eyes, they're
Oh my
glazed
gosh.
over.
That's weird.
And that little girl was kind of made a connection with my cousin Sean, because he's a young kid too. He's only 20. They were kind of hanging out all night talking, and I told Sean, that chick has got something attached to her. Be careful with her, because she's got some dark energy attached to her. And a lot of stuff went on during the course of the night with her in particular. And this was like towards the end of the night. Yeah. That's just creepy.
How old was this girl?
20 years old.
Wow. Wow. That's just
It
was
was
home with her.
I believe she came with something, and she brought something home too.
Gotcha.
I think she went home with more than what she came with. I mean, from the moment I met her, when we got there, I got a vibe about her that she had some kind of abilities, but more than that she had some kind of dark attachment too. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not claiming to be psychic.
Well, something's not right there with her eyes, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened to her in that when she came out of that room, and she was in there a long time. Like most people go in for 15, 20 minutes. She was in there for like 45 minutes. So when she came out, she was not
and
the
she
same
was by
girl.
herself in there?
Yeah, she was by herself.
Yeah. Wow.
So is she okay, now?
Well, at the end of the night when we left, she seemed like she was fine. She didn't really seem like she was too worried about what was going on with her, Like she kind of knew what was going on with her,
Interesting. So we have a question here. War Criminal asks, what is your favorite piece of equipment for paranormal investigations?
If I'm squatching, it's a parabolic mic.
Yeah.
I can see that.
If ghost hunting, it's a digital voice recorder. Yeah, and if I'm doing the CE5, then it's a good IR camera, because you wouldn't believe what you would catch in the night sky with a really, really good IR camera. There's like fleets going by at night. Mm-hmm. It would blow your mind if you seen what was moving around in the night sky, deep up in space. Well, if you had one of those really, really expensive IR cameras that can take, like I got a friend of mine, my cameraman Bill, he's got a camera that you can see the alien bases on the moon, and I'm telling you, he gets footage of fleets going by.
I saw and this was just last year, it was it looked like it was a mothership, and it was way up there. It looked like a star, but we watched like 5 other stars come out of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't no mothership. It wasn't no star, that's for sure. Unless it was the Death Star.
Yeah, but we watched like 5 other things come out of it, and so that was really cool.
Yeah.
That's no moon.
That's my one pun for today.
I'm just thinking, you said. I've had a few that have come and gone. I'd let them go.
Yeah, let them go. Let them go.
Krista, when we go to Ashmore, I'm going to bring my video camera, and that has infrared on it.
Awesome.
So maybe we can see something.
Hopefully, the skies will be clear up there. Yeah.
OPR, with my luck, it'll be cloudy. OPR was asking, he's in New York. Where is that haunted hotel at?
The Shanley Hotel is, oh man, It's called the Shanley Hotel. Look up
Mhm.
Shanley Hotel in the Catskills.
It's a
I don't
well-known
remember.
place.
I don't remember the name of the little town that it's in, but it's been there for like 200 years. Yeah, so it's
A
called the
well-known
Shanley.
location for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
As a matter of fact, I'm bringing a coworker with me next month because he's a non-believer. And when he hears me tell these experiences, because I've been up to the Shanley like, a million times now,
Mhm.
I know Kim, she's a good friend of mine. She owns the place. And I'm telling him, I said, next month when I go up, you can come with me and you can see for yourself if you think I'm bullshitting you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be cool. And then you get one of those, aha, I told you so. Yeah.
You mentioned UFOs and the stations on the moon and everything. What is one of your UFO encounters?
Well, speaking of motherships,
Mhm.
I had a sighting of a mothership. I was living in Trumbull, Connecticut, and I was working down in Westchester County, New York, in Yonkers. And I was cruising home up the Parkway one night. It was about 7:00, 7:30, 8:00, something like that. And I just got a brand new Mustang, and I'm flying up the Parkway, headed home. It's the Merritt Parkway, and
Doing the speed limit, I'm sure, right?
yeah, doing the speed limit, absolutely. And I'm listening to the Yankee game, and I come up this hill, and the car starts puttering. So I said, let me get off the road so I don't get rear-ended. I get off the road. I'm on top of the hill on this grass. And when I get out of the car, I look down and I see the parkway below me is like a parking lot. There's cars stopped on both sides, and there are people out of their cars. And I noticed there's a state police officer on the grass. So I said, let me go down there and talk to this cop about getting a tow truck because my car is dead, And I go down there and I look around and I said, what's going on? A motorcycle? I thought there was a motorcycle accident, and that's why the parkway was closed in both directions. And I said, yeah, could you call me a tow truck? My car is dead. And he looked at me, he goes, so is everybody else's. And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, look up. And I look up and there's this craft. Okay. Now, the only way I can describe it is it looks like the Roman Colosseum up in the sky. Okay. It goes across both sides of the parkway, the medium in the middle, and into the woods on both sides. And I look at the cop and I go, what do you think that is? And he looks at me, he goes, what are you, an asshole? He goes, it's a UFO. Because I didn't want to say, I wanted to hear him say, and he goes, it's a UFO. And we're looking at this, and the trees aren't moving. There's no wind. There's no sound. There's no nothing. All the cars are dead. The people, everybody's out of their car looking up. This is before cell phones and cameras, and everybody's out of their car just looking up in awe of this thing because it's humongous. And it looks like it just drove up and threw it in park, And
Wow.
I'm looking at these arches. They look like different floors of this craft. And I'm squinting, trying to see if there's anybody looking back out at me, And I'm looking at this thing and it's looking at me. I mean, it's looking at us. And in a blink of an eye, it goes up like 1,000 feet. Boom, just like that, 1,000 feet. As soon as it goes up 1,000 feet, all the cars start up on the parkway and the cop's radio starts working. So the cop says, listen, I'm between these two exits on the Merritt Parkway. You got to scramble a couple of Air National Guard jets out of the Bridgeport Airport. We have a mothership UFO over the Parkway. So they scrambled two fighters from Bridgeport Air National Guard. And I'm standing next to the cop. Now I'm eavesdropping, right? Because I want to hear the conversation. Oh, yeah. And they dispatched them into the lead pilot. And the lead pilot says, look, I got like 20 miles clear visibility. I don't see anything. And he goes, and there's nothing on our radar. And the cop is like, well, when you get here, you'll see. Because he called it giant. He said, this thing is the size of Giant Stadium. To me, it looked more like the Roman Coliseum. But, yeah. And So then the lead pilot said, okay, we'll be there in like 30 seconds. As soon as he said that, this thing just went straight up into the heavens and was gone in a blink of an eye. The two planes come racing down the parkway side by side. Feels like the end of the world. The trees are bending over, leaves are blowing, the ground is shaking, and I'm thinking, oh my God, could you imagine if these things were actually dropping bombs, you know?
Yeah.
And they turned around and they came back up the parkway again, and they found nothing, and they went back to Bridgeport Air National Guard. I got home. I'm living in trouble in my brother's house. I got the attic apartment. He's got the 2 floors in between my mother, father, and the basement. I kick in the front door and I'm screaming for my brother, Frank. He's coming in the back door. He was up in my apartment, painting my apartment for me and listening to a radio show. When this craft came across the Long Island Sound, it came across Long Island and it came into Connecticut. And the radio station that he was listening to said they seen it. And the DJ went up on the roof and he was reporting where it was going. And this thing was headed right towards our house. So my brother grabbed his camera with his bazooka lens and he went to a Catholic school down the street from us, which was the highest point, because he wanted to get a nice clear shot of it being up high, you know. But that Catholic school was just past the parkway to the west. This thing got to the parkway and made a left and went south. So he never seen it. So when I got home and I told him I seen it, it was humongous. It looked like the Roman Coliseum. He was freaked. He was pissed off that he didn't get a chance to see it. But he was the one who actually, you know, he heard it on the radio. He got, you know, they heard the report and everything in real time and everything. So it was pretty amazing that we both experienced the same thing. But he experienced through a radio show, and I happened to be on the parkway and actually seen it.
Wow, that's incredible. That's really
it was amazing. When you think about these motherships and they're so big, your brain can't comprehend how they stay up. How is this thing flying? It's like a flying city. How is it? You know, how do they? Kind of technology they have that they can just, and like, I don't call it hovering. It was like they pulled up and threw it into park. They weren't hovering. It wasn't going like it was just parked there. It wasn't moving. It wasn't making a sound. It wasn't giving off any wind. It was just crazy.
And you know, how do they make it to where it hovers? It's that big. It doesn't make a sound, and it just goes from point A to point B in a blink of an eye.
Blink of an eye, just mind-boggling. Blink of an eye. But that happened. Yeah, but that was at that time. There was a UFO flap here in the Hudson Valley, and it kind of extended it from like Pine Bush, New York, which is considered to be the UFO capital of New York State, all the way across to Connecticut to the Long Island Sound, and it's like a straight line. And you know, if you're on this line, that's where all the UFOs were being seen at that time. Yeah. They called it the Hudson Valley flap, but it was just over the state line in Connecticut. Yeah.
Wow. It's pretty incredible, really.
Mind-boggling. Yeah. Something that big.
And that your brother listened to it and you saw it.
And then when my brother wrote his book, he contacted the radio station to get validation about it, you know, and they denied it ever happened. And he's like, what do you mean? I was listening to the radio show. And he researched the DJ who had already retired at that point and moved to Arizona. And my brother found him in Arizona and said, you got to have like a copy of that tape, you know? And he told my brother, he said, leave it alone. He said, it didn't happen. Leave it alone. That's what he told my brother.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What do you think's going on out at Area 51?
I think they're doing a lot of stuff in Area 59. I think they're working on a lot of new technology, secret technology, you know, maybe partially to do with alien technology, maybe just stuff that we're creating ourselves, you know. I think it's a combination of both. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there. I was supposed to actually go out last month. I got called by a TV show to go out. They were going to fly me out to Area 51 and do some filming and interview me, the whole 9 yards. But I couldn't make it out there because my partner went into the hospital with heart stuff. So I had to stay. I had to. We were working with a skeleton crew as it was, and then when he went into the hospital for his health issues, I had to. I just couldn't take off work. I couldn't leave my boss stranded like that, to fly out to New Mexico for 3 days to film a TV show,
Yeah.
And they were paying good money too. And I said, no, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I just can't.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting. Bristol has a question. Have you ever investigated Sleepy Hollow?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes.
It's a resounding yes.
Let's hear about it.
Sleepy Hollow is very interesting. When we went there, we did an investigation. We had a new member of the team join us for that investigation, and we were going up to the different monuments and doing EVPs and checking EMF and all of this stuff. And none of the ITC stuff was really hitting that day. So we went old school, and the new guy was using the dowsing rods. And we were going to different parts of the cemetery, and the dowsing rods were spinning like helicopter tops, and he was freaking out because, if you ever use dowsing rod, you could feel that energy go through your hands and through your body. And if you've never experienced before, it's a little unnerving. And that particular day, all the old school techniques worked. Whether we were using dowsing rods, quartz crystal pendulums, compasses, stuff like that. We were getting a lot of stuff. The only ITC thing that actually worked good that day was the phonetic generator. We were getting names and voices and answers to our questions and stuff like that. Then eventually they found us and they threw us out. They're like, well, you guys got to leave, no, we're not doing anything, no, you guys have to leave. I know what you're doing. And because they do tours there and they want you to pay to do the tour. And we weren't there at night. It was a daytime thing. We just figured we'd go in casual and no one would notice. But I guess when you have all kinds of equipment laying around, they know what you're up to. So they threw us out. Yes, they threw us out. Yes,
that's funny.
You can't really disguise that as medical equipment, could you?
Yes, yeah.
Funny story. I
didn't bring my stethoscope that day.
I gotta tell on Adam Davies. I don't know if you know him or not, but he's a great friend of ours. And he sent Brandy. He was up at Sleepy Hollow, and he sent Brandy an EVP. He's like, I got something. You got to listen to it. Listen to it and let me know what it is. Because Adam Davies is not a ghost guy. He is strictly, Bigfoot, that kind
of guy. Yeah.
Yes, super excited about it. When Brandy listened to it, she sent it to me, and she enhanced the sound. She says, "What do you hear?" I said, "Bill, it sounds like bullfrogs to me." And sure enough, that's what it was frogs. He thought he had growling and stuff on there,
Oh wow! Well, here's a little local secret about Sleepy Hollow. The firehouse across the street from Sleepy Hollow is incredibly haunted.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you ever get it,
it was actually on the bridge when he recorded this, so it was.
Oh yeah,
I
got a great picture. I got a great picture on me on the bridge. Brian says, "Do me a favor, just run across that bridge." I go, "For what?" Because just run across the bridge. I'm game. So I run across the bridge. And of course, Brian gets me running across the bridge, and he puts himself on the headless horseman's horse with with the pumpkin is Brian's head. The horseman is headless, and he's chasing me across the bridge, And I'm like, only you, Brian. It was so funny. Yeah. I don't know. I should send it to you. It's a hysterical picture.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Bristol said, my daughter and I were checking out the mausoleum in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. They were overgrown, walked away from one, and it sounded like a sledgehammer hit the iron door on 1 or 2 times.
Wow.
That's interesting.
There's a lot of mausoleums, and some of those mausoleums are humongous because there's a lot of rich people like Rockefellers buried there, and their mausoleums are humongous. Yeah,
Wow.
we got a lot of stuff on the Rockefeller Museum. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when I was a kid, go and visit a cemetery around here. I guess my grandparents or somebody was buried there, or my great grandparents. I don't remember, but I remember looking into one of those really small mausoleums. It was more like a room or something, and I remember seeing like people dancing around in there. But I mean, they were spirits, obviously, dancing around in there. It almost reminded me of something from the Haunted Mansion in Disney World.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
but and I that talking about that mausoleum, that just kind of hit me with that memory. I've never seen anything else like that before, and it's kind of interesting.
That's pretty amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, we had some stuff happen, like a gate opened up by itself, real heavy roaring gate opened up by itself. I think Brian was standing next to it when it started to open. He was like, "I'm getting the hell out of here," you know. Yeah, no, we had some stuff happen, but like I said, we never got a chance to go back in at night. I'm dying to get back in there at night, you know, and so even if I have to pay for a tour, I'll do the tour. But once the tour starts, I'm doing my own thing, you know.
You guys go that way. I'll be over here. You just,
I always
have
do.
fun over
I
there.
always do. I always go my own way. Yeah.
What were some? What is one of your what's something that's on your bucket list that you haven't investigated yet that you would like to?
Oh man, you know, I got a lot of stuff on my bucket list. You know what I mean? I'd like to do the catacombs in Rome. You know, I'd like to go there. You know, would definitely love to get into the pyramids in Egypt, but I think the catacombs are more realistic. You know, we're planning a family vacation maybe next summer to Italy. So if we go, the Colosseum, definitely want to get down into the Colosseum. Down in the depths of the Colosseum, not so much outside, but those places like that, I'm definitely would love to get into. You know, my wife wants to go to Dracula's castle in Romania. You know,
well, very cool. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not against it. You know, but that's not the top of my list. You know.
I've seen a few shows from there, and it looked pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that place is got some stuff going on. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh yeah. How can it not?
No, it can't. It cannot. So they did so much blood rituals there. You know,
layers and layers of it.
You do blood rituals, you are definitely going to get stuff happen. You know, and not just blood rituals with animals, but human blood rituals. So, you know, just crazy stuff.
Yeah. And even the dungeons in London, was it London Tower?
Oh yeah, London Tower. Yeah, haunted hell. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, you know, can't go everywhere, but I mean, definitely the I would love. I got a friend of mine. We were doing the old Dutch cemetery here in Dutchess County, and my aunt was German from Germany. So I had her ask a lot of questions, and I recorded them in German. And I went to the Dutch cemetery, and and I would ask these questions in German, and I was getting replies back in Dutch, you know, because the language is so close. And a friend went and messed with one of the mausoleums, and the door was open, and he wanted to take the dude's skull. And I was like, there is no way in God's green earth you're taking that skull, even if we have to fight right here. That thing is not coming out of this cemetery. Put it back. He's like, I always wanted a human skull. It's like, put it back. You're not getting in my car with it, and you're not leaving this. You're not leaving this hollow ground with it. Put it back. And he was like, all right, Al, all right. You know, I was like, dude, if we got to fight, we got to fight.
Yeah,
you know,
I would have even touched it.
Yeah, no, I didn't touch it. Absolutely not. Yeah. He goes, oh, the door's open. And he opened the door, and then he went in, and I was like, what's the matter with you? Are you out of your mind? You know?
Yeah. You put it nicely. I'd have been like, "What the blankety blank blank are you doing?"
Well, yeah, I did. When it was just me and him, yeah, the
Yeah.
X-Wings were flying that day. Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
disrespect the dead.
Especially since we were getting so much action with the German stuff, because I mean, now that we have all these apps on our phones that you could just play the app in German, and record. It'll be it's just so much easier now.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten back there yet after that. But just the fact that we asked questions in German and we got answers in Dutch was pretty amazing to me.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
What is one thing that you would advise somebody that is just starting out investigating, like ghost investigation? What would you recommend?
Protect. If you think that you're going over the top with your protection, double down.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm Brian will tell you we're notorious for protection. We protect, we go over the top. Mm-hmm. And I've still had things attached to me. Thank God it was never anything negative. It was just something that wanted to live through my eyes again. And when I left, actually, was at one of the cemeteries. When I left, it stayed, And then another time at an old restaurant from like the 1700s, I had something attach itself to me, and I actually had to have the psychic who was there cleansed me, and I felt it pop right off the top of my head when it came when it detached. I felt the pop, and then as soon as I felt that pop, it was like 1 minute I got all my IT stuff working, and then the next minute I couldn't figure out how to work them. I was like,
wow,
I don't know how to work my cameras. Because who was ever attached to me was from the 1800s, didn't know what all this IT stuff was, and they didn't know how to work it, and I didn't know how to work it, and I was like, I actually went to a friend of mine, and I said, look, dude, you're gonna have to, because I was helping out another team because someone had to leave, so I had taken a certain part of the restaurant and I went to one of my friends who was there, either another guy from a different team who wasn't working. I said, dude, you're going to have to take my spot because I can't think straight. I don't know what's going on. And I went to the bathroom and I called cold water over my head. And it was funny because the psychic said to me, when I walked in, the psychic said to me, what did you do? And I said, I just shaved my head. And she's like, no, I'm not talking about shaving your head. She said, your aura is really bright. I had just had my ascension like the month before. And she's like, welcome to my world. And then she came back down. It was 3 floors, and she was on the 3rd floor. When she came back down in between breaks, she looked at me and she said, what happened? And I said, why? She goes, your aura is dark now. She goes, what happened? I said, I got an attachment. She goes, sit down. And she started doing a ritual on me to cleanse me. And I felt it, hand to God. I felt it start at the bottom of my feet, work its way up and pop out of the top of my head. And when it popped out of the top of my head, I actually felt like I heard a pop. And then she said, okay, your aura is bright white again. It's gone. And I couldn't get out of that restaurant fast. It was like a thief in the night. I said, I'm done with this restaurant. I packed up all my shit. I got out of there. I'm done. Yeah. And I never went back.
See ya.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, and like I said, so you always think that you're going overboard. Like I think I go overboard, and then shit like that happens. I mean, again,
right.
You want to protect, but when you protect, like I hear a lot of people say, oh, I don't sage, I don't do this. I want to experience everything. You're still going to experience everything. You're just not going to have anything negative attached to you. You're pushing away the negative, not the positive. So if you're going to have an experience with a ghost that night or a spirit, it's going to be a positive experience and not a negative experience. So please, salt, purification salt, sage, amulet, anything you need to use when you go out to protect.
Yep. Yeah, I see Val just asked that question. So
yep, I was just about to hit it, and I think you might have answered it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
a lot of times too, like myself, I use prayer. That's a big one for me.
I use prayer before I go in.
Yeah, and I always say, I'm covered in the blood of Jesus.
Always. Yep,
Yeah.
I always say in the name, Lord, hear my prayer, and in Jesus' name, Lord, hear my prayer. You know, like
Yeah.
I always pray. I always do a white prayer. I always do. I sage. I always have salt, purification salt in my pocket. I'm a little extreme. I get mine from the old country in Israel, from the Dead Sea. It's really, really pure. I wear amulets. I wear I'll wear a Benedictine cross, but I will also wear like whether it's a chain or a ring. I'll wear the Seal of Solomon. You know what I mean? Just to make sure. So between the Benedictine cross and the Seal of Solomon, haven't had any more issues. You know, but
Good.
yeah, no, I mean, you have to. You really, and again, when you go out on Halloween to these haunted attractions, you have to protect going in and sage coming out, because these things are there to scare you. You're rising that fear from you, and when that fear is in the air, it's like a beacon for dark shit, and dark shit will come to those locations. And if you go in there and you're wide open or you're not protected, it will find you. It will find you. You have subconscious fear.
Absolutely.
It will find you. Absolutely.
Yep. Wholeheartedly agree. And then the thing too is, people who go to places and they, oh, well, there's nothing bad here. Doesn't matter. You still do it full suit up, Yep.
Yeah, because you know what? You're not really, when I go to some place and I protect and I say, negative energy, I'm not thinking of demons and devils and shit like that. I'm thinking of people who are just nasty in life. Here, an aha moment. You want to hear an aha moment? When I realized if you're nasty in life, you're nasty in death, was one of my aha moments. I always had this preconceived conception in my head that when you die, you went to heaven and everybody was rosy and all the mean people were nice. No, doesn't work that way. If you're a miserable, nasty person in life, you're a miserable, nasty person. That doesn't mean you're a demon, doesn't mean you're a devil, just means you're a negative entity.
Wholeheartedly agree with you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Eric Ogle says hi.
Hey, Eric, what's up, brother?
I circling back for a second. This question just popped in my head with that UFO, the big spacecraft that you saw. How soon after that left was your car up and running again?
Oh, well, it took me as soon as I got back in the car, and I turned the ignition switch. It turned right over. Yeah. I mean, my car was still a good distance from everybody else's. Like where everybody else's cars that were on the parkway, they were like directly underneath it. I was up on the hill, a little bit to the south of it. So my car didn't start by itself. I had to actually turn the key to start it. But once I did, it turned right over. Yeah.
And everybody else's came right back up.
Yep, everybody else's came right back on, and everybody got out of there.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And that's happened to me twice. Another time I was coming home. It was at night, was worked late, got home, and it was the wintertime. It was dark, and I'm racing down the parkway, and I'm like 1,000 yards from my exit, and there's a park and ride where like an old gas station is, and my car starts puttering. And I pull into the park and ride. I was like, oh man, I'm so close to my exit. Now I'm going to have to pay a tow truck to get me off the parkway. And I pull into the park and ride and I get out. At this time, I'm carrying a digital camera because at this time in my life, I was seeing a lot of UFOs. And my brother said, carry a digital camera in the car and carry extra batteries because they tend to drain batteries. I get out of the car, never noticed it at first because I'm so pissed that the car died 1,000 yards from my exit. And I get out of the car and I look up. And if you ever seen a rendition of Ezekiel's wheel, that's what I seen above this gas station and it was parked like on a 45-degree angle. Like they just pulled up and threw it in park, but it wasn't level. It was like this. And I'm looking at this thing And it's like, and that's the thought that went to my head. It's like, oh my God, this is like Ezekiel's wheel. It was so close that if I could have found the rock, I could have hit it with the rock. That's how close it was. And I'm looking at it and I'm looking at it. So, oh man, I got the digital camera on the front seat. So I go get the digital camera. I go to take a picture. It says the batteries are dead. Drop those batteries, put fresh batteries in, go to take a picture. So the batteries are dead. This thing takes off. Boom, blink of an eye, it's gone. I get back in my car, starts right up. I go home. I pull into my driveway. I go to take a picture of the house with and the camera's working fine. I throw the other batteries in the camera, and the camera works fine. I was like, son of a bitch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something didn't want you to take that picture.
No, and that happens a lot. That
Yeah.
was the winter of 2012. I seen a different craft every single day. I seen fleets of crafts. I seen stuff that was just mind-boggling. And I tried to take photographs of a couple of them, and I could never get one. And I never got a bad vibe of seeing one. And I seen every kind of craft you could think of. I never got a bad vibe until one day I seen something that looked like an egg beater, and it looked like it was searching for something. It was going like this through the woods. And I had to go through those woods to get to my house. Like the parkway cuts right through a state forest, and it's a snaky road, and there's no lights. And I was getting ready to go up that road when I seen this thing, and it looked like it was searching. And I got such a bad vibe that I got off the parkway, and I went like 30 miles around the mountain to get back on the parkway at a different location, because I was petrified of driving through that forest that night and being abducted, losing time. And when I got home like a half hour later, I was like, what happened? What did it take so long? And I was like, oh, I had to take a different route home because, I didn't tell her what I seen. I just said there was an accident or something. But I was like, I'm not driving through these woods tonight. I'm not. And that was the only time that I've seen something in the sky that gave me a bad vibe. And I'm not one of those guys that every time you see a light in the sky, you think it's a UFO. For me, I got to get a voice in my head says, pay attention to this. It's important. If I don't get that voice, I don't care what that light is doing. If I don't hear that voice in the back of my head, I don't pay any attention to it.
Right.
Wow.
Very cool.
So I'm assuming this was, I'm not sure what this, do you think it has something to do with the propulsion fields?
I would imagine so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. An anti-gravity kind of propulsion. They say that they can put a field out around them, that there's no, they move just as fast underwater as they do in the sky. So if there's no gravity, if they can eliminate the gravity in the sky, they can eliminate the gravity in the water. Definitely something to do with the propulsion, how it works. You know what I mean? There's at least in one man's opinion, yes.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Al, I feel like we could probably go on for another 2 hours.
Probably, yeah.
Still not hear everything.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
But yeah, we're definitely going to have you come back and
anytime. With my pleasure.
More of this, and it's been fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
You're a wealth of information, and everybody loves you.
That's now you sound like Brian. Everybody loves but thank you very much, and I appreciate you inviting me on it.
Oh, sure.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Thank you. Good to see you too, Krista. Ciao.
Yeah. Always.
Bye.
And Krista, are you going you got BMR tonight at midnight?
Going live tonight with BMR. It'd be 11 o'clock Central, midnight on the East. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had a long day. I don't know that I can make it that long. So
yeah, I put 10 miles in today walking. I'm not going to make it. I know I'm not making it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I appreciate everybody coming in to chat. The ones that I didn't get a chance to say hi to, hi. I'm sorry. We are trying to focus on Al. Hope everybody has a great night. I know there's some storms rolling through the country. So be safe, everyone. And we will see you next Saturday. We don't currently have a guest right now. So it might just be me and Krista kind of hanging out and just having a good old time.
That's okay too.
So that's right. That's right. And don't forget, probably, actually, definitely, I'll be coming on Tuesday from the patio for a little bit. So, and Bristol, may the fourth be with you. Sorry, Hal. Everybody, have a great night. Have a
Val
great
said the same thing.
Have a great I can't talk. Great rest of the weekend. I'll get it out eventually.
There
And
you
we will
go.
see you all next week. And have a good night.
Ciao.
Good night.
Let me find the close.